morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. We will be introducing you to everything that executives need to know about business relationship management. First, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Gloria Noasco from IT Chapter. I'm BRMP certified, and I have been involved in different activities intended to advance the BRM community and to help articulate the vision, the goals, and the value of implementing the practice. I am also a very versatile professional with experience in many fields, which include but are not limited to business relationship management, IT service management, human resources, and marketing. It's my pleasure to be a moderator for this webinar. The program for this morning is as follows. We will start with Svetlana Sedenko, who will present what executives need to know about BRM. Then we will move forward with the questions and our panel discussion. And at last, we will answer questions from the audience. Allow me to take a moment to present IT Chapter. We are a certified women-owned company founded in 2003. Our headquarters is based in Montreal, but our services are delivered on a global scale. Our mission is to help IT organizations become a driving force for business. We also take much pride in applying our diversity and inclusion policy, with women being 60% of IT Chapter employees, which for the IT industry is actually a step towards gender equality. I have to say, I'm in good company today, and I'd like to welcome and introduce our presenters. Our first panelist is Razvan Pervou, a certified business relationship manager who has over 25 years of experience as a global IT management professional. He's a BRM, ITSM, and project management expert, trainer, and coach. Razvan has a consistent track record of success in initiating, managing, steering transformation programs. His expertise and passion for sharing knowledge enable him to help organizations and individuals to drive value, build partnerships, and evolve their culture. Our second panelist is Svetlana Sedenko, a certified business relationship manager who counts with at least 25 years of experience in management, including 20 years in IT. She is also co-founder and president of IT Chapter. Through her career, she has helped many organizations achieve their goals by sharing her knowledge and expertise on value creation and strategic business relationship management. And our third panelist is Martin Trudeau, a certified business relationship management professional with nearly 20 years of experience in the IT field and over 10 years in business relationship management. He has worked with globally recognized organizations such as National Bank of Canada, Financial Group, Cirque du Soleil Entertainment Group, and Globe. Martin is a senior manager and a BRM expert with hands-on experience in both the strategic and technical roles. All right, so this concludes our introductions. Now, without any further ado, I give the floor to Svetlana Sedenko.
Thank you, Gloria. Hi, hello everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar session. My peers, Razvan Pervou and Martin Trudeau and myself are very pleased to have an opportunity to meet you and answer your questions in regards to what executives need to know about business relationship management. Myself, I'm practicing business relationship management since 10 years and partnering with Business Relationship Management Institute in many capacities since year 2014. As a regular member, of course, but also as a member of BRM Knowledge Council and a recipient of BRM Institute Global Awards. I can safely say that business relationship management practice is my primary professional interest, and this is because being in IT management for more than 20 years, I was witness of numerous occasions of massive business value leakage, which could have been avoided should parties have better relationships, collaborative goals, and managed expectations. Since I associated my company IT Chapter as a registered consulting and training provider with BRM Institute, I have met hundreds of BRMs in the conferences where I speak, in my classes which I teach, and in organizations where I consult. And many times I hear the very similar question. Specifically, from business relationship managers, how do we sell the value of BRM to our executives? How we can get moved from the tactical to strategic positioning of the BRM role? How we can get a seat at the business table as BRMs? On another side, executives are asking me, when do I get the return on investment in the BRM role? To whom should they report to? How do I organize the team of BRM in order to optimize the value, the business value? Today, I will share with you some insights, which I came up with based on my 10 years of experience. And also my peers, Razvan Tervu and Martin Trudeau, will share their thoughts also from their similar years, at least 10 or more of experience in business relationship management. But first of all, let's define what is business relationship management and who are BRMs. BRM, business relationship management, can be seen from three perspectives. BRM is an organizational capability. BRM is a role, and BRM is a discipline. As a capability, it's a very strong capability that converges cross-functional teams and eliminates value-depleting organizational silos. BRM capability strengthens collaboration and drives a culture of creativity, innovation, and shared ownership across the enterprise. And BRM capability can be compared to any other organizational capability, actually, and it's very important to recognize it this way. As a role, we can see business relationship management managers, in fact, as navigators, connectors, and orchestrators. As navigators, BRM ensure the roadmap to business value. They show the way to go to both business partners and provider organization. As connectors, BRM influence provider to ensure appropriate supply of services and products. And finally, as an orchestrator, BRM is a single point of focus. It's very important to note here that it's not a single point of contact, it's a single point of focus, which is a significant difference and important. Being a single point of contact for business relationship managers is actually set to fail. Well, and now I will move to 7 things which, from my perspective, BRMs need to know about business relationship, executives need to know about business relationship managers and business relationship management. Here, I will just enumerate them and then I will explain them one by one. So first, BRM needs executive support. Second, leadership should be visible. Third, business relationship management role shall be defined via RACI, actually should be well defined. Number 4, BRM role is meant to be strategic, and executives shouldn't forget that. So number 5, BRM needs a specific set of competencies. Well, people in BRM roles need to be competent in a specific way. And number 6, BRM business demand needs to be shaped, not managed, shaped. And number 7, BRM needs to manage expectations of all stakeholders and not only business partners. And now I will have something to say about each point here. So let's move to number 1. Business relationship managers need executive support. For business value creation, it's important to have clarity around organizational strategic objectives. This helps align key initiatives and increases the chances of success. However, understanding organizational objectives does not automatically lead to business value optimization. Executives need to realize and acknowledge that they play a critical role in supporting and ensuring BRM success. Executive support is more than just acknowledging good ideas or providing funds. It's about helping out when roadblocks occur, making time for business relationship managers, and overall demonstrating support. As a result, when executives set the focus on building strategic partnerships across organization, BRMs are able to serve business purpose and lead to value optimization. Here are some examples of how executives can support BRMs and how they can demonstrate support. As for example, celebrating success. Visibility is a key. They can invest their time and attention in tracking investment progress. Share ideas, innovation, and new opportunities. They can guide BRMs. They can provide valuable investment decision guidance. And of course, they can share and communicate to BRMs investment decisions and risks. Which brings me to the next point, which is visibility. Leadership shall be visible. And this is number 2. Second point, which executives need to know about business relationship management. Leadership is a key in many different ways, but some things need to be clear. Leadership cannot be delegated, and a job title doesn't make you a leader. On the contrary, the true leader does not need a title to lead and influence. Leadership should be visible at any level. Leaders shall set up an example, walk the talk, and inspire the whole journey and not only an idea. Executives need to first name their leadership visible, make their leadership visible, and then ensure that they grow leadership in their BRM community. Leadership is a lot about influence. Business relationship managers are aiming to influence, and this is how they make difference in the organization. However, they do it without a formal legislative authority. And this does not come itself. It needs to be breeded. It needs an evolution. Without visible leadership, the success of business relationship managers itself and the organizational initiatives will be marginal. So organizational leaders shall make themselves visible. The next point, actually, think number 3, is that executives don't have to ignore the BRM role definition and clarity. Very often, extended stakeholders are not really clear on what BRM role is. BRMs and other business leaders work to create a culture of shared ownership, a team approach to business success. The mission of business relationship managers is to ensure the collaboration. And while it's very important to set up as an ultimate goal, the shared ownership and collaboration shall start at defining roles versus activities and tasks and clarifying them. So how we do it? By an old-fashioned RACI chart, which is a foundation of an effective organizational governance. Executives need to ensure that organizational structures and roles, including a role of BRM, have a well-defined span of control, decision-making authority, and accountabilities. BRM role introduction will inevitably bring some actual or perceived overlap with existing and sometimes well-established relationships. This is specifically important for other roles interfacing business partners such as product managers, project managers, enterprise architects, service owners, so on and so forth. Clarity in the role will prevent confusions and misunderstanding regarding each stakeholder business function. There are several common mistakes around the role clarity that can be avoided through the RACI chart and prevent failing in the common pitfalls, such as overlapping responsibilities or unclear accountabilities. Number 4, executives need to position BRM roles strategically. Understanding this is fundamental for value creation and overall BRM success. Business relationship management is meant to operate in the context of business strategy. Therefore, BRMs need to be involved early in the business decision-making cycle. As business relationship managers focus on value optimization, they emphasize on initiatives intended to enact business strategy without actually being close to the business strategy. BRMs will be not succeeding. Engaging early in the decision-making cycle, business decision-making cycle, increases their ability to identify the most valuable possibilities, and this can only be done when the BRM has a clear view on the bigger picture and have a seat at the business table. On the contrary, a BRM focused only on the tactical tasks, such as keeping the lights on and processing some requests of business partners, will fail the main reason and objectives of the role. Essentially, being involved in the high-level decision-making process and interfacing with business unit heads and senior executives ensures that the BRM role performs at its best. And as you see in this diagram here, strategic BRM role possesses and displays deep knowledge and understanding of the business model and operating model. BRM is first and foremost a business person and should show an unshakable commitment to the pursuit of business success and value realization. BRM is being curious and inquisitive, constantly and actively listening and observing. Only a BRM who exhibits strategic behaviors will make the opportunities realized in a business value. Now, many BRMs are asking me, well, the ones who are yet in the tactical role, is tactical role of BRMs bring the value, and whether it has a right to exist, of course. However, if organization is only focusing in tactical business relationship management and does not evolve in strategic, that mode of business relationship management is not the way to success. Number 5, which business executives, executives need to know about business relationship management is that people in BRM role need to be competent. There is a set of competencies that describe the knowledge, skills, and behaviors needed to successfully perform as a BRM. The competencies allow BRMs to identify, surface, and stimulate demand for the high business value opportunities. And that is not to be overlooked. And the individuals who spent years and earned trust and credibility of organization, either in a business domain or in the domain of provider organization, for example, IT or HR, if these individuals are moving to the role of business relationship managers, it does not automatically mean that if they succeeded elsewhere, they will succeed as BRMs. They need specific knowledge, which will be translated in skills. And then via executing the skills, via practicing the skills, they will build the new competencies. The central competency here is a strategic partnering. Well, if I can explain it in one sentence and in a very short way, it's an ability of BRMs to get a seat on the table and earn trust and credibility of business partners and also extended stakeholders. It's about an ability of BRMs to have value-based conversations, managing expectations, and actually addressing strategic aspects. Another competency is a business IQ or business acumen, is an ability of BRM to understand business. And actually, BRMs need to understand business the same way as business partners do, be at the same page, speak the same business language. Portfolio management is about investments. BRM need to know how the investments are made in organization, how they prioritize what are the budgets, and of course they need to know the basics of portfolio management to bring this a notion in organization, portfolio management is a central mechanism in value optimization. And this is a primary mission of BRMs. Provider domain. BRMs need to understand their domain of provider. Whatever provider, whoever provider is it IT or HR or any other unit in organization? As an example, if organization is product focused and developing towards the product management and product lines, BRMs need to understand what is product management and what is agile, what is DevOps, what is IT service management. If organization is on traditional mode of IT function and delivery, BRMs need to understand well the project management. They need to understand all the aspects of requirements definitions and so on and so forth. I'm just giving you a couple of examples here, but from my observations, BRMs sometimes are not there, and this is affecting their credibility, not only in the eyes of the business partners, but also in the eyes of provider organization. Business transition management is a competency about culture, behavior, and finally, of course, BRMs need to be powerful communicators. And it's not only about building presentations or having an ability to speak. It's also about influence. It's about ability to ask the right questions. It's about even decoding the body language. So BRMs need to deliberately invest their attention in building up these competencies. And from executive perspective, executives need to, well, first recognize it and acknowledge and support BRMs in that so that they build respective capabilities. Number 6, business demand needs to be shaped. BRM is key for forecasting, planning, and managing demand for products and services so that supply can meet the demand. Every organization, specifically in IT, has an issue with demand and capacity. The demand by nature for their IT services and products, information and technology would exceed the capacity. And so while organizations usually start with intake process, okay, and they build the intake process, and it's often even efficient, but it's not enough to just establish the intake process, even if it would be a great start in organizations which have no other means to manage business demand at all. However, executives need to understand that intaking business orders will not bring value to organization in the long run, and that a mission of business relationship managers is to shape the demand. By definition, demand shaping is a process of using business analytics and other techniques to help rank and prioritize demand based on value realization potential and other factors. It's a BRM core discipline which involves surfacing potential high value ideas and opportunities. Sometimes it involves saying no to the business partners. Such a decision can seem hard to accept, but it's also part of the demand shaping process, which includes suppressing demand that does not have high potential value realization or meet other necessary conditions. Here you see an illustration of 3 areas which BRMs use to fill the investment funnel with ideas that will drive real prioritized value. These top line revenue, bottom line saving, and risk mitigation are the only 3 reasons you should be doing a project. Organizations need to know why projects are being executed in a non-complicated way, and make sure that investments enable business unit and enterprise priorities. Business relationship managers need to shape demand by surfacing and stimulating high value ideas while simultaneously deflecting low value ones. And finally, thing number 7, BRM needs to manage expectations of all stakeholders and not only business partners. It's about taking care of all relationships in the organization. Business relationship managers are meant to operate in a business strategy context and respectively understand and manage expectations of business partners. However, BRM mission should not be only to build relationship and manage expectations of the business partners. That would be a very, very limited outlook and would not yield in business value realization. Stakeholders have their expectations too, and members of provider organization not an exception. Often, the initiatives are not being realized in value because the expectations of stakeholders were ignored. BRMs are in a unique position to provide guidance based on a holistic approach and to optimize value delivery. They are orchestrators. They do need to understand the nature of value for each stakeholders and ensure that all parties are aiming to collaborative goals. And going back to their executive support, executives need to support BRMs in that and create an awareness that all relationships need to be managed. So in conclusion, where do we take it from here? Our recommendation to executives is to start from these 7 and then evolve. Executives also have to instill the right organizational climate, breed appropriate culture to ensure that BRM would influence the valuability of organization. Executives need to actually ensure that value optimization framework with central mechanism of portfolio management is integrated in the DNA of organization. Another thing to consider is ensure that the right measurements and metrics are set. We will talk about all this and way more in our executive brief workshop, which we offer to you again free of charge on December 3rd. And you will receive an invite for this executive brief. Stay tuned for this invitation. And on this note, I will pass the microphone back to Gloria and we will open our live panel and we will answer your questions.
Thank you, Svetlana, for your presentation and all the information. I'd like to add that the recording of the webinar will be shared right after. And now I invite our panelists to put themselves on video and so that we can begin our panel discussion. Together, we will be looking into different areas of interest for the executives. And our first subject is about the optimal BRM organizational structure. To whom are BRM teams reporting to? Razvan, would you like to answer first?
Yes, thank you, Gloria. First of all, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I know we have people from different time zones participating in this webinar. So yeah, the topic of the optimal organization structure is a very common one question that I encounter very often. And I think the best way to answer that is that one of the things that I appreciate most about BRM is that it doesn't give us recipes. The principles, the tools, and the techniques of BRM need to be applied with finesse. What does it mean? It has to be applied taking into account the organizational environment. It looks like a weakness. It's not a weakness. It is a strength, I believe, of BRM. And because the real world is complex, and any practitioner will tell you that's true and will ignore that at their own peril. Yeah. The same is true here with this question. The best reporting structure of the BRM is dictated by a number of factors having to do with the organization. The organizational structure, the organizational culture, the nature of the relationship between the business partner and the service provider, and the maturity of that relationship. However, as a rule of thumb, because the BRM can deliver the most value when it enables strategic partnerships, they need to be playing at that level. This is the level when they need to play, which is normally close to the CIO position. I would say it should be as close as possible to that. Yeah, but don't forget to factor in, as I said before, the maturity of the supply, the maturity of the demand, and of the relationship between the business partner and the provider.
Excellent, thank you, Razvan. And how about you, Martin? What do you think is the optimal BRM organizational structure?
Thanks, Gloria, and hi, everybody. I really like these questions, and I couldn't agree more with Rafsan. We saw in some surveys that the structure differs from one company to another. Personally, I would say that the BRM should report to the CIO, and I will explain. First of all, as Svetlana explained, the BRM acts as a single point of focus between your department and your business partner. With his business and IT knowledge and skills, he should be considered as a senior member of your team and should have a seat as your management committee. So alignments and decisions you make will have potential impacts on your business partner, and he will be able to advise you on the approach to take or validate it when with them and get you back. So I like to say also that the BRM is 100% business and 100% IT. So to be able to play his role, the BRM needs to understand your business partner objective, processes, and reality. And it's for this reason that I strongly recommended that the BRM should also have a seat at the business management committee.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Svetlana, would you add anything?
Yes, well, of course, I agree. Well, hi, everyone. So, of course, I agree with what Razvan and Martin said here. And, well, I would add a little bit. So I'm practicing business relationship management since year 2009, where I was first led BRM implementation, the BRM framework and team and practice implementation in the energy company in one of the large organizations. And at that time, the BRM practice and profession was young. And so, well, the BRM team was positioned under the service management team and the service management office. It was too far from the business strategy. It was too far from where their investment decisions were made. And even if the framework was set up in a great way and we set up all the processes and disciplines, it didn't succeed much. And there are lessons which I learned and this organization learned since. And now, of course, we know more because since then, BRM Institute introduced the practice and we formalized it. The long story short, even though the BRM team reporting lines vary a lot, they have to be positioned as close as possible to the CIO office, either reporting directly to CIO or anywhere close to CIO. That would give it a right visibility, right credibility, and right ability to influence in organization. And if I may say what is not to do, and that's where I saw the BRM teams really didn't succeed, is when they are related and reporting into their PMO, project management office. And it appears that they are just assuming their sort of their side support for them specific projects, and then the priorities are not properly aligned. So that's my take, again, from my experience.
All right, thank you, Svetlana. So my next question is always a great area of interest. So after investing in the BRM team, when do organizations realize a return on investment? Martin, could you please give us our first answer?
Yeah, I will say having a real strategic point of focus between IT and your business partner, having a good and functional demand management process in place, working on intention aligned with the vision, mission, and the enterprise objective will definitely help the demand shaping, as Svetlana explained, and will for sure allow you to deliver value to organization.
All right, thank you, Martin. And how about you, Svetlana? What can you tell us?
Well, that's the question which I hear often, that BRM teams is an investment, right? So we didn't have this position before. Now we're introducing this position, and it comes to the efforts, it comes to the cost, the salaries, as simple as that. And of course, executives want to know what is the return on investment, how they get, when, first of all, when, and secondly, how they will get it. So my answer to that is first, the definition of the return. What is organization trying to achieve with introduction of the role of business relationship manager? What was their issue? Right, so each organization chooses to invest in the BRM team for a very specific reason. What was the driver? And the driver needs to be understood and acknowledged as a first step, and not only by individuals who signed on the decision, but by everyone in the organization. Was it the business partner's unsatisfaction? Okay, or was it related to the cost of IT and demand being completely not far from being shaped, like completely unmanaged, and the cost of IT is becoming high, and business partners don't understand why, because there is no connection and no communication between the two. Is it about the interface between business and provider organization? Often BRM teams are being formed in attempt to compensate for sort of lack of efficiency of the service management organization, specifically handling specific requests from the business. Or maybe the organization is failing audits or incompliant to something. Well, I'm giving you an example of the drivers, but these drivers need to be very well understood and put in the business case. So I strongly advise organizations to build a business case in case of, at the point when the BRM teams are built. So to formulate the drivers, to formulate their objectives and respectively measures, right? And then we can measure. So if we put this framework, which is understanding the drivers, objectives, measures, KPIs, and points where we actually will capture the value. Is it going to happen in 1 year? What we expect from the BRM team and specific BRMs in 1 year? What they will achieve? Are they going to achieve cost savings? Are they going to achieve better image? Are they going to achieve better reputation? Their projects will succeed. There will be less amount of canceled projects. I saw one team which managed to achieve reducing of cancellation of the projects by 80% in 1 year. So that's a return on investment, because even if we might not directly qualify it in a ROI as per se, but we can track it, measure it, and understand the value. So that would be my answer.
Okay, thank you, Svetlana. And Razvan, would you add anything?
So long ago, since you asked the questions, Gloria, let me see if I remember it. So you asked when organizations would realize a return on investment, right?
Yes, correct.
Well, I think, first of all, the organizations need to allow, to more than allow, support the BRM in introducing the value management framework. In my experience, the concept of value management does not exist in most organizations, or if it exists, is not in the form that BRM recommends and that BRM promotes. I think this can be a big opportunity for the BRM role, the BRM capability to prove its worth, even can be a low-hanging fruit for them. Value management at first sight can look a little bit theoretic, a little bit esoteric, but if you take the time and the effort to understand what BRM means by value management, I think it can provide a lot of benefits to the organization. Shifting the focus to the realization of value from sometimes a very, very narrow focus on cost reduction, for example, can bring tremendous benefits to an organization. As Svetlana mentioned before, allowing value to be defined to be intangible, for example, like the number of projects, as she said, the number of projects that the reduction in number of projects were canceled. I think will bring a lot of benefits to the organization, that realization itself. Second, I think, is once you've done this, well, obviously, once you've done this, you can measure value. So I think that's probably the first step, yes. The second step is after you've introduced successfully the value management framework and it's accepted in the organization, at least talked about and communicated there, is allowing the BRM role to own the cross-silo value streams, yes? Typically, there's nobody's job in our organization, right? The organization do a very good job of specializing people. And when that happens, shared functions like shared IT function, shared finance function, shared HR, they typically do a very good job of building walls around their organization. And there is nobody's specific job to break those walls. BRM can do this, yes. I call that, the BRM owning the cross-silo value streams. If that happens, if you allow that to happen, I think it's going to be very, very easy for them to have a return on investment, positive return on investment.
Okay, thank you so much. And now I'd like to open a discussion about what are the top concerns executives might have in regard to BRM functions. So Svetlana, let's begin with you. Can you please share what you think?
Yeah, so well, I would say that the executives would have many concerns to put together the BRM team and to ensure that they deliver value. But I would say the first concern, not the main concern, but the first one is in relation to BRM competencies and role definition. So, well, in BRM body of knowledge, as some of us, our participants might know already, some maybe did not yet get exposed to it. So we discussed the house of BRM, where the foundation of this house, the house where BRMs will live, is BRM competencies. Well, and then columns are the pillars, or the pillars are the disciplines, and then the roof is the positioning of the BRMs in organization. So from my perspective, the first concern of executives should be competencies of BRM, that we have competent people, and then the clarity of the BRM role there, well, which starts with RACI, what these competent people are aimed to accomplish in organization.
Okay. Thank you so much for the information. I believe, Razvan, you have a little more to add, right?
I think you're mute.
Yes.
I just wanted to underline Svetlana's point that the clarity of the role itself is very important in this. I think that's a critical point.
All right. And thank you very much. And Martin, can you think of other concern executives might have about BRM?
Yeah, I just want to say that implementing the BRM practice in your enterprise, like any other enterprise discipline, it's not an easy and a quick process. Regarding or according my expertise, executive must understand what is the BRM practice and how this will help them to achieve their goals. Believe in this practice and the fact that it will help them to add value to their department, prioritize the implementation, and communicate and support all facets of the BRM practice. So above all, I will say to use the small step technique, and if it's possible, ask external support, for example, BRM Institute or IT chapter as an expert as a BRM staff.
Great, thank you. So now let's see what our panelists can tell us about how executives can ensure that BRM delivers business value. I believe this question will raise very important pieces of information. Martin, would you please share your thoughts?
Yeah, as I said previously, and Svetlana and Ravsan said something looked like, The BRM acts as a point of focus and with the business, and both of them need to connect, need to identify, prioritize, and invest into value-added intentions, align with the vision and the mission of your department and your company. So if your demand management process is fully functional, communicated and understood by the C-level, and if we have the perfect team to proceed, success is practically guaranteed.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Martin. And how about you, Svetlana? I'm sure you have a different insight on this.
Yeah, so while executives should support BRMs and their efforts in value harvesting discipline, we talk about it already, I talk about it and Razvan mentioned about it, but I would reemphasize it one more time. Most of organizations cannot define their value ability or they cannot move beyond the sporadic phase of the their value ability. So executives should support BRMs first in the value ability assessment, where the organization would recognize what is the value ability and to communicate it then to the executive level. Is the value ability of organizations sporadic, definable, achievable, or optimized? And who will be ensuring that it's actually moving to the high level of ability? Well, ideally, this gap should be filled by the qualified BRM. And if executives would support BRMs in that, and they would recognize that, so their BRMs would certainly be able to contribute to the business value in the organization.
Okay, great, thank you. And you, Razvan, would you like to tell, what would you tell executives wanting to ensure that BRM delivers business value?
Well, I think we touched upon some of the ways that executives can do that already, which, and I think Anna highlighted them as well. First of all, not only allow, but sponsor the introduction of the value framework. I think that's really, really important. And second, make the BRMs own the relevant value streams, which is also something we talked about, especially those across the silos. Third, though, executives need to act as the initiating change leaders in the implementation and adjustment of the BRM role within the organization. Yeah. The introduction of any role within the organization is a politically charged exercise and must be managed as such. Yes. What that means is that without the proper discipline, without proper focus on business transformation, and specifically without the sponsorship, the visible sponsorship of the executive, it can fail. We've all seen many, many initiatives, business transformation, organizational change, whatever you want to call them, many organizations that failed because of this. This is one of the key reasons why they failed. And I think the introduction of BRL role has to be seen as an organizational change exercise because it has all the markings of this. It will change people's, it will change processes, it will change tools, but it also change people's attitudes and people's behaviors, right? So you cannot ignore that. So the executive has to be very visible and sponsor this effort.
Okay. Thank you, Razvan. And all right, so now it's time to move on to our Q&A, questions and answers from the audience. I believe that we have time for maybe 1 or 2 questions. And we already received a few questions here, but the ones that we don't have time to cover, I'd like to reassure everyone, we will be sending written answers in a follow-up email. So Martin, maybe you could take the first question I have here. It would be, would you be able to give us a few ideas on how to properly implement the BRM practice in order to avoid failure? Sorry.
Wow, it's a good question, and I would like to I can have a long answer or a short answer, but I will be very focused on one thing. The BRM Institute developed a couple of years ago the business relationship maturity model, who will help you to define first the level that the maturity you are at, and with this, you will be able to say, okay, so I would like to be a service provider, or a trusted advisor or a strategic partner. So first of all, you need to do a self-assessment on your side regarding where you are at. Ask the same question to your employees and ask the same question to your partners to say, oh, at what kind of level I am? I'm another taker, I'm a service provider. Ask them, and when you have all the answer, you will be probably able to identify some quick wins that you can probably put in place, and will be able to create a plan, so short, medium, and long term. Then after that, prepare your executive presentation. Make sure that they understand your approach, the objective. Make also a return of the exercises you done with them. Explain them the plan, the next steps, and things to don't forget. So make sure to mention that this cannot be done without their collaboration. So you absolutely need to be a client-centric at every level of your department.
Great answer, Martin. Thank you so much. Our second question that we have here is, how would you convince an executive that BRM is different from any other methodologies that come and go? Razvan, can you take this one?
Okay. I think I already touched upon the first point, the fact that one of the things that I think makes BRM stand out, in my opinion, is the fact that it explicitly recognizes that the world is complex. Yes. So the tools and techniques, as I mentioned before, must be used with finesse and with a good understanding of the environment that you're introducing them into. BRM makes this principle front and center, and even goes one step further. It gives the practitioners or people who implement or practice BRM the tools to assess the environment itself. I'm talking here about the maturity assessment tools, which can be extremely useful in doing this and in shaping up how you implement and how to apply the BRM methodology. So this would be the first one, the fact that it realizes the world is complex and it's not we're not fooling ourselves that we might have a set of checklists that we can apply blindly to any type of organization. Second, I think it's the fact that BRM makes relationships a point of focus. Politics, as we all know, or those of us that have been doing this in organizations for a while, we all know that they are a fact of life in any organization. And most failed initiatives fail because of lack of people support, people involvement, or even because of straight sabotage from some of the people, yes? By putting relationships at its core, I think BRM recognizes that, and more than recognizes, encourages practitioners to become better at the human part of change, which I think is overlooked many times. And in addition to this, it goes one step further and gives them the tools to do this. So if you look at the business transformation discipline in expertise in BRM, I think it can give you extremely useful tools for this. So those two things I think would stand out for me.
All right, thank you so much for your answer. And we can take one last question. And like I said, the rest will have to be answered by email.
Sorry,
yes?
Can I suggest, we have a question here from Delia.
Oh.
Delia, will meet you. Hi, Delia, by the way. Delia and I met at the BRM Connect in San Diego a couple of years ago. I hope you're doing well. She's asking if you have examples of companies who successfully implemented the value management framework and how they went about it. So I'm going to challenge Svetlana to answer the first part of the question, but I'm going to answer the second one. How you go about it. First of all, don't attempt to introduce the value management framework as this novel thing and try to convince people from the beginning to introduce it. Look at bits and pieces of value management that you're already doing. Typically, the governance processes in any organization deal with this. You have a process for approving business cases, for building business cases, for managing new ideas. You have a process for measuring the value brought by projects or new initiatives. Those are very good starting points. But what the value framework does, it gives you the continuity, it gives you the whole picture from the beginning to end. So look as the next step at introducing the value plan, for example. which is going to tell you, how do you measure value, how you're going to be achieving value, at which point are you going to achieving value, who's going to be responsible for it, how are you going to be reported, and so on and so forth. Once you do this, I think you'll be in a great step, in a great position. In my experience, most organizations, or many organizations, let's not say that because I haven't seen most organizations, but many organizations stop their value management practice at the point the project is implemented. But obviously value is achieved or lost way beyond that, right? Throughout the life cycle of any initiative, and just even before you are at the point that you have to retire it. So if you introduce a value plan that covers the entire life cycle of any initiative, any service, whatever you want to call it, I think you'll be 2 steps ahead.
At this point, Gloria, I will pass it to you to conclude.
Yes, like you said, we don't have much time. Actually, an hour might not be enough, right? So, which is another reason why I invite you again to make sure you don't miss our webinar scheduled for December 3rd. This is actually going to be a webinar from, like actually a BRM Institute accredited workshop. It's called BRM Executive Brief, and it's going to be free of charge as well. So don't miss your opportunity to register. Right after the webinar, we'll be sending our follow-up email with the link. And I also like to invite you to explore our full BRM knowledge path and our courses, which you can join online or we can bring to you as well. We have a variety of workshops that can be customized to your organizational needs. And if you have any questions on the products or anything, you can contact us. We remain available on the phone, mail, live chat as well. You can visit itchapter.com. We'll have all the contact information there. And well, I'd like to thank our panelists for participating and for sharing all the expertise with us today. Thank you everyone who's with us right now, who joined us. And on this note, I will close the webinar now. So thank you so much. You have a good day now.
Thank you.